So it's late October 2014. Why am I going on like I don't remember the exact day? It was actually the 27th of October 2014. It was a Monday. It was the weekend just after my 21st birthday, and this wasn't going to be an ordinary day at work, and trust me, it wasn't because I was hungover. So we'd open the doors to this Barclays branch in Hatton Garden in central London, and after 5 minutes, a customer walks in and says, "Young lady, I'd like to speak to the manager, please." I say, "Of course, sir," in my most politest voice, and then I confidently walk to the manager's office. I knock on the door, I open the door, I look around, but I can't see anyone in there, just my coat and my bag, and I realize, shit, I'm the manager. See, I felt two things in that moment. A sudden sense of pride and achievement. I was 21 and a bank manager. Wow. And then an overwhelming rush of embarrassment because I had to go out and explain to this customer that I'd forgotten that I was the manager and it was my first day in the branch. So I want to take you all back to 5 years before that, so when I was 16. On the outside, I was a confident, cheeky, mischievous teenager. But on the outside, if I'm totally honest with you, I completely lost the will to live. I've only ever recently admitted this to my therapist, but my 16th birthday was kind of like a reminder to me of how much my life had changed and how little I thought I had to look forward to. And I received a card that year that said, "Happy Sweet 16. Many more milestones to come." So I just kept thinking about those milestones, those upcoming chapters like my 18th birthday and my 21st birthday. And all I remember is breaking down at the thought of it. See, I'd realized that people my age were looking forward to those chapters of freedom, of adulthood, and holding themselves accountable. But I was already there, and it wasn't any fun. See, by the time I was 14, I'd already lost my mum, was kicked out of my father's house, and I was pulled apart from my 5 other siblings, including my twin sister. See, that just left a massive feeling of emptiness. Nothing mattered. I had no ambition, no purpose, no reason to live, and nothing to live for. So things just got worse for me. See, I was 16, and then I found myself at my lowest point. Some would say I was spiraling out of control, and boy, do I see why they call it that. See, school wasn't a priority for me. And even when I was there, I was getting into trouble. But I look back at that period so differently. And I like to call it spiraling into control. And here's why. See, back then I was waking up with the freedom to do what I wanted every single day, but yet so trapped in a cycle of pain, uncertainty, and fear. See, I felt like I had no control over my life, no power. So I was a follower. I did what everyone else around me did. We chilled on the block, and we aimlessly watched the days go past, and we filled our time with nothing but meaningless debates and plots to get out of our situation. See, my friends became my family at that point, and we all wanted better. We all imagined a better future, but it's like we'd accepted our fate, and there was no alternative. Most days, I just used to sit there quietly and observe. And I'd stare at the Canary Wharf skyline in the distance, and there it was, the alternative. But all I kept thinking was, let's be real. How can someone like me, how can people like us work for companies like that? And so I quickly dismissed the thought, and I'd accepted my fate too. But you want to know the hardest thing about that period? See, the hardest thing was that I was a teenager growing up in the real world, the world that they talked about in the classroom, the world that I was being prepared for. Yeah, I was living and growing in a world that was totally opposed to the one I imagined growing up. So, of course, my mind just wandered to some of the most darkest places. I needed an outlet. I needed a release. And as simple as it sounds, I just started to do things I enjoyed, like playing football and writing music. And with grime culture and battle culture prominent, I found myself writing about my better qualities. See, grime was more than a music genre. Grime was about repping yourself, finding out what you stand for, and then repping it to the fullest. So writing bars and battling in the playground, as cool as it wasn't about getting people to listen to me. Expressing myself in that way helped me understand my past. Better yet, it gave me a vision for the future. But most importantly, it empowered me with a voice. And I started to tell my story a different way. See, I no longer blamed myself for things, and I recognized that, yeah, things do happen outside of my control. And it's in those moments of writing that I became obsessed with what was inside of my control and creating that whole new path for myself. And that's why I call it spiraling into control. So the milestones came, but this time no longer with the fixed mindset I used to have. See, I had the vision and the courage to pursue my alternative. So I left school at 18 with GCSEs and A-levels, and I secured an apprenticeship with Barclays Bank. See, I was given an opportunity of a lifetime to work for one of the top companies in the country, the world. I was going to give it everything I had. And yeah, it was hard. There was work pressure, there was assignment pressure, there was life pressure. But I was smiling every single day because I was living my alternative. What I was seeing all of those years ago. I started off as a cashier in September 2012. And after a year and a half, completing various frontline roles, I became an assistant manager at the head office branch in Canary Wharf. 7 months after that, whilst in my final year of university, I became one of the youngest bank managers in the country. And in October 2015, I graduated from university. See, I no longer get sad or feel sorry for myself. Because I believe that life is so balanced, there cannot be loss without gain. I lost my mum, my family the way I knew it. But I had the opportunity to develop skills, abilities, and perspectives on life that accelerated my development. So I know that if my circumstances have the power to depress me, they also have the power to progress me. See, back then, I was a manager. But now, I'm barely managing. My future's looking bright. How can I still be panicking though anxiety be mad? So my mind ain't backing it. I just can't comprehend. Now understand what's happening. I need to get away before this fear be settling. I need to settle this. But I'm barely leveling. Blood, sweat, and beers. Back then I let the devil in. I had to switch gears, ride hard like I'm pedaling. I feel the adrenaline kick in. I can't explain how we're living. Mad situations that I've been in. If I tell you about my past, my dark, it was vicious. But back to business, know that I stay winning despite it all. Through the rise, the fall, through the obstacles, the challenges, I climbed the walls. See me, I made it out. So can you blame me now? If I choose to walk away and take a different route, don't get it twisted, I choose to walk away without a single doubt. See, I have to change this game, and it's only because I want the same for the people that I came without. I'm 24 now. I'm a social entrepreneur. I'm the chair of the government's Young Apprenticeship Ambassador Network. And my mission is to help the next generation have the courage to envision and pursue their alternative. Thank you.